So I think I discovered a new favorite series, like top series. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanie and today we are recapping everything I read in February. I had a pretty big TBR and I actually finished my entire TBR that I made. So, well, like one book I didn't finish, but it's not really one I had to finish. You'll see what I mean. But I even added one more book, so I'm like, I was on a roll. Like clearly, if you saw my reading vlog, you saw me read 3 books in 1 week, which is a lot for me. So that's kind of why I challenged myself to do that so I could finish my TBR. But I'm excited to talk about these books because I did have a really good reading month, honestly. And so first book I read, which was part of my IRL book club, is Immortal Longings by Gong. This one I actually really enjoyed. I went in like knowing there was people that didn't really like it, but then there's some people that did. And so I wasn't expecting much, which probably helped. And I'm not gonna say it was like an amazing book, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the world that she made was really interesting. In this book, we follow a girl named Kala, who is basically hiding in a city. It's like a dual city, like split up by a river. It's called Sanar. And every year there's this big tournament, like fight to the death, and the winner gets to meet with the king and ask for a reward. And so Kala is determined to join this and meet with the king in order to kill him because she is set on taking down the monarchy, which she already did by killing her own family. So yes, she is a hidden princess, and so we follow her on her journey to do that. There's also her cousin August that's in the palace that has his own plans that he's trying to get done, and she also meets a former friend of August who's also entered into the games as well. And so there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of politics going on, there's potential threats from an enemy country, so there's a lot going on. She adds a lot of really good twists into this book that I didn't see coming, and so I really enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. I do think that a lot of people probably that didn't like it probably went in thinking it more as a romantasy, but I really wouldn't call it that. The romance, I think this is her first adult book. There's not a lot of romance, and the way she writes some scenes are just kind of like, oh, okay. Trying to make it adult in a way, which didn't really need that. And so, yeah, there's not like a lot of romance in this book. So I think people might have like went into it thinking they were expecting more romance, and the romance just isn't really that strong in the book, so that's probably why. But we all liked it enough, my book club all liked it enough to read the second book right away. So I read Vilest Things right after Immortal Longings because I really wanted to know what happened, and the second book is already out, and so we picked this as our second book club pick. I read them both in February. They all read it in February as well. We're kind of just doing it as we go, not specifically month to month, but we'll pick a book every time we meet, and then we'll meet once we all read it. So that's kind of how we're going. And so we did 2 books in 1 month, but this one I liked even better. This one I gave 4.5 stars. This one had a lot going on. It was very fast paced. It was a lot of interesting new characters and new developments that you learn, and a lot more politics behind things, and I really enjoyed it. I flew through it. I read it in like 2 or 3 days because I was just really wanting to know what happened. The twists in this book are even better, and yeah, it ended on a cliffhanger, so really looking forward to the 3rd book and final book, I believe, but that comes out I think in 2026, so we have a while until that happens. But overall, like honestly really enjoying this series. Like the whole, oh, I forgot to mention the magic system. The magic system is like body swapping, so basically your soul can swap into other bodies depending on like how powerful your chi is. Some people are better at it than others, but it's very normal in this world, so people know their bodies like aren't fully theirs in a weird sense, but it wasn't made super weird in the book. So it was just kind of the way of life, but I just think the mechanics of it were really interesting, and how it develops as well was well done. So yeah, I recommend this book as long as you're not expecting like a big romantasy plot. I think it's fun. It's easy to get through. It's not super complicated. So for like an adult fantasy, I recommend it if you want something lighter rather than like super epic. Yes, very much recommend this series. The next book I read is the sequel to She Who Became the Sun, and this is He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I loved this book. I loved She Who Became the Sun too, but I read the majority of this book in one day. And this is like a almost 500-page book. I read like, I think over 250 pages in one day just because I was devouring it. And yeah, this I think has to be one of my new favorite series because it's just so well done. And I highly recommend it to anyone who likes Chinese inspired fantasy, but it's not really like high-end fantasy. It's very much reads more historical fantasy than like, I guess it's not technically high fantasy because it is based in real China during the Mongol rule. So yeah, the fantasy elements aren't super big, but I loved every second of it. I can't really give you info on what happens in this one, but in the first book we follow Zhu Chongba, who after her father and brother die takes the identity of her brother and joins a monastery as a man, and then ends up getting involved in the war going on between the Mongolians and the Chinese, or the southern part of the Great Yuan. So she becomes part of the rebel effort. So a lot of war. It's basically kind of Mulan inspired because, you know, she does disguise herself as a man and all that stuff. So I read that a while ago in my like Mulan inspired book vlog last year, so I'll link that up. But that was really great, and it took me so long to read the second book, and I don't know why. I think I was just like scared because it was like a lot, but I should have read it faster, and I knew I should have read it faster, but I loved this. So this is a 5-star series for me through and through. So yes, highly recommend, and I gave this 5 stars. Both books 5 stars. So read it. The next book I read is one that I've been meaning to read for a long time, and it's an author that everyone loves. I've read his nonfiction before only, and that is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. So this follows an expat in France and his eventual relationship with Giovanni, who is an Italian living in France, and basically his relationship with himself, Giovanni, the people around him. It's very short, so there's not too much, but that is the base of the book. And so I really enjoy this. Baldwin's like dialogue is really interesting. I think he writes very compelling dialogue. Like, I was really enraptured in the dialogue specifically for some reason. His writing isn't like too prosy or anything, but it was a little harder for me to like get into a little bit. And maybe it's because it was so short. I didn't really fully connect with all the characters. Like, I thought I was gonna be like really sad and upsetting. Like, people said this book has made them cry. That just never hit me. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but I was kind of expecting a little more emotion to be evoked from me, especially around like what happens to Giovanni. And so that was kind of like the one thing that was missing for me. But that being said, I did give this 4.5 stars. I don't think it was a 5-star for me, but I do think it was really well written. And our main character's name is David, and he's struggling a lot with his self-identity, his past, and his relationship with his father. But yeah, for some reason, I just didn't really fully connect with the characters, and that also might be because I did a lot of it via audiobook, because Matt Bomber was the narrator for the audiobook I was using. He did like an Italian accent for Giovanni, so it was harder to listen to faster. So I did slow down so I was able to follow everything. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but I still really enjoyed it. I just wish I like felt more from it. And maybe that's my fault because maybe I expected too much to feel from it. Like, I expected to cry and all of that stuff. But you know, everyone's different. So what might make other people cry might not make me cry, even though I cry like all the time. So yeah, but yeah, still a really great book. And then the next 3 books I read in a reading vlog, which I'll link up here if you haven't checked it out yet. The first one is Private Rites by Julia Armfield. The second one is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. And then third one is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail with these books because I have the whole reading vlog about them. But Private Rites, I believe I gave 4.5. Yes, 4.5. Never Let Me Go was a 5, and Pride and Prejudice was a 5. So very, very strong trio right here. I also watched the movies, well, rewatched the movies for both of these. And I think in the reading vlog, I said to watch the movie first because it was more chronological. But having watched it again, I definitely think you should read the book first, just because it's so similar to the movie. And I kind of forgot a lot of those elements because it had been a while since I watched it. So I recommend reading the book, but I also do recommend doing both because they're both very well done in their own ways. And same goes for Pride and Prejudice. I mean, most people have probably seen the movie before reading the book, at least people around my age, so you can do either for this, but they're both pretty close. I mean, there's definitely a few changes in Pride and Prejudice, and the movie definitely goes way more into like more romance than the book does, but yeah, I loved both. And then Private Rites, if you like weird family and sister dynamics, weird stuff going on, a world that's basically drowning itself, and potentially sinister things happening in the background, then this is the book for you. Last is the book that I didn't actually finish, but it's a short collection of essays. Not a short story collection, but it is a collection of essays, and that is They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurraqib. This one I think I read like 50 pages of it. I read a lot, like there's a lot of short stories in here. I keep saying stories. There's a lot of essays and they're short. They take a while to get through because he references songs, specific songs from all the artists he's talking about in each essay and the albums, and it's kind of hard to follow unless you like listen to the songs or albums he's referencing. So I feel like when I read more of this, I'm going to have to like go back and listen to the music he talks about after finishing each story, which will just take a very long time. And because this is like an essay collection, I'm going to be reading it for a while. I was, hoping I would finish it. I just couldn't like sit there and read essays after essays for that long. So it's still really good. I think the one thing that is a little hard is the like amount of specific song references, and if you don't understand that, then you're not capturing the full of what he's trying to say. But I think he has some really great stories in here and commentary and experiences, and I think he's a really compelling writer, so I still very much recommend this book. And so that wraps up my February reading month. It was a pretty good one. It was not the fun month that I initially had tried to accomplish, but I got some really great reads. I got, I think, 3 5-star reads, nothing below a 4-star, which I think is amazing, and found a new series. I read a series back to back, which I don't usually do. So yeah, I had a great month, and it was the shortest month, and this is, I think, the most I've read in a while in 1 month, so I'm proud of myself for that. But I also have a very fun March coming up that I'm currently in the middle of reading, so I'm excited to continue with that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye!